All right, we'll call the Thursday, February 5th, 2026 regular meeting of the Kodiak Island Borough Assembly to order. We will begin with the invocation from Captain Diane Shadow of the Salvation Army.
Let's pray. Thank you. Dear God, we thank you for the gift of this day and for the privilege of gathering to serve the people of this borough. We ask for your presence and guidance over this meeting. Grant wisdom to our assembly members, clarity in discussion, and unity in decision-making. Lord, we pray that every matter addressed tonight will be handled with integrity, fairness, and compassion. Help our leaders to seek what is right, to protect the vulnerable, and to pursue the common good for all who call Kodiak home. We also give thanks for the rich heritage of this land and for the people who have lived here across generations. May we walk forward together with respect, humility, and peace. Bless this assembly, bless this community, and bless the work done here tonight. We pray these things in your holy name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And we are gathered on the traditional homeland of the Sukbiak-Alutiiq people, and we acknowledge the 10 tribes of the Kodiak-Alutiiq region. We recognize the Alutiiq culture that enriches our community to this day. Roll call, please.
Mr. Ames.
Here.
Mr. Gardner.
Here.
Mr. Johnson.
Here.
Ms. Roberts.
Here.
Mr. Smiley.
Here.
Mr. Whiteside.
Here.
Mr. Woods.
Here.
Mayor Griffin.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Okay, next up is approval of the agenda and the consent agenda, which includes the regular meeting minutes of January 22nd, 2026. Mr. Whiteside.
Move to approve the agenda and consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Voice vote on the motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. All right, motion carries. Moving on to citizens' comments. There are 2 designated citizens' comments periods, one at the beginning and one at the end of the meeting. These comment periods are intended for general comments as well as for agenda items that are not part of a public hearing. We do have 3 public hearing items for tonight, which are ordinances number FY 2026-15, FY 2026-17, and FY 2026-18. Comments for these items will be heard when the items are called during public hearing, and please wait until we get to that portion of the agenda. For those who wish to call in, the local number is 907-486-3231. Toll free is 1-855-492-9202. And please turn off your radio or any listening device to prevent feedback. And for those in the room who wish to speak under citizens' comments, please come to the podium and sign in, turn on the microphone, make sure that little green light is on, and speak directly into the mic. State your name for the record and address all remarks to the assembly as a body and to not any member thereof. Okay, we will take the first call.
We're now answering a call from the queue.
Thank you for calling the assembly. Please state your name for the record.
Good evening. My name is Brenda Schwantes, and good evening, assembly members. The reason or issue that I'm calling about this evening, it's on your agenda, is about the accommodation tax. And I need to really point out in the beginning right now that I do not have a short-term rental. I don't have any friends that have short-term rentals, nor do I feel strongly one way or the other about this code or, requested code change. What I feel really strongly about is the process.
I'm so sorry, Miss.
Any-
I'm so sorry to interrupt, Ms. Schwantes, but are you speaking about the short-term rental
Yes, yeah.
item? That will be coming up during public hearing in a little bit. Right now, it's citizen comments for general comments, and we will take specific
Okay.
comments on that particular ordinance when we get to public hearing.
Okay, I do have a general comment, and my comment generally would be, I would encourage the assembly to spend 50% of your time thinking of ideas and methods of reducing taxes. I have never observed a session or a moment for, that you put on the agenda. Let's talk about how we can reduce taxes. I mean, there would be really no harm in that. But I think I would like to see the assembly spend more time and more energy in examining methods of reducing taxes. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Schwantes. Anyone in the chambers? Oh, we have one.
Good evening. My name is Tom Schwantes. I just want to make some comments about the amount of meetings that members are required to attend. I understand right now that you're required to attend 50% of the meetings, and I've also understood that there's a possibility of jumping that up to 75%. Well, I got to tell you, neither one of those are acceptable to me. 50% or 75%, it's just not acceptable. You came to us and asked us for our vote so that you could represent us as borough citizens. And now you're telling us you only want to represent us 50% of the time or 75% of the time? I'm sorry, that's not acceptable. You should be at every one of these meetings unless you have a certified excuse for not being here. But we put you in here to represent us. And when we expect you to do that. I just want to ask a question. I don't know whether any of you are employers or not. But if you hired an employee and he only showed up 50% of the time, how long would he last? I could tell you how long he'd last if he was working for me. And if he only showed up 75% of the time, it wouldn't be any different. And if he only showed up 90% of the time, that's not acceptable either. Unless there's a legitimate excuse for him not being there. And I think that's the same way you borough assembly members ought to serve. Unless you have a legitimate excuse for not being here, you should be at every one of these meetings. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schwantes. And we have another call.
You are now answering a call from the queue.
Good evening. Thank you for calling the assembly. Please state your name for the record.
Thank you for taking my testimony here. Patrick O'Donnell, live in Monashka Bay, or I'm chair of the Monashka Bay Road Service, and I'd just like to take a moment to speak to you, Mr. Mayor and members of the Assembly, about conditions of the state roads here, in particular out past Abercrombie. And also outside the KI hotel there and what have you. And we've made calls to the state of Alaska. However, there doesn't seem to be much concern with these roads. We've had heavy rains over the last month here, month and a half, and I think it's something that needs to be addressed. It's up to the borough here and the city of Kodiak to reach out to the state of Alaska and deal with our road problem, and that's all I have.
All right. Thank you for calling in, Patty. Anyone else with general comments tonight? Come on down. Yeah.
Good evening, Kodiak Island Borough Assembly, Mr. Mayor, and others in the room. My name is Brian Himmelblum. I'm a 38-year resident of the Kodiak Archipelago. I'm currently retired from the university, so I have a little bit of time on my hand, and of late I've been very concerned about the Kodiak Island Borough School District and its Board of Education and its superintendent. I've been making comments. I'm not sure if they're landing anywhere with the powers that be, but as you can see from the headlines, the Coast Guard is going to be here for a while. $25 billion nationwide. It'd be nice to know how much is coming to Alaska and how much is coming to Kodiak. But in regards to that, the Coast Guard or the Defense Department is not going to help with Kodiak schools, okay? Unless that changes some way. I'm really disappointed in how the conversation has been going on. Essentially, it's a town versus out-of-town argument. You know, there's talk of closing schools, cutting back staff, and just a whole range of issues. Okay. So I made some comments. I like to just present those. I've been presenting these and just want to let the borough know where I stand. It's a huge morale buster for our U.S. Coast Guard personnel and their dependents, and for those families that are non-U.S. Coast Guard that live in the flats. Plus more will be arriving as Coast Guard accelerates their focus to protect the Arctic. If you shut down Peterson, those families will leave the KIBSD and will homeschool, or the dependents will request emergency transfers out. Then you can kiss Kodiak's designation as a Coast Guard city bye-bye. There are 37 Coast Guard cities, so you can do the numbers and figure out what's going to happen with that. Furthermore, the impending overcrowding with one less elementary school means in-town families will leave the KIBSD one way or another. This is a tragic death spiral. I already told them how to address their shortfall. They're like 2.7 million down. They currently spend $10 million a year on non-personnel. You need to look at that. And finally, the skinny is that they're looking at the Kodiak Island Borough to up the contribution to maximum. I think you need to take a really hard look at their budget proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, we're moving on then. No awards and presentations tonight, so committee reports, I think there might be a couple. I'm just going to go down the line if you have any. Mr. Gardner?
None of my committees have met recently. I have no news to report.
Cool. All right, Mr. Johnson?
Likewise.
All right, Mr. Smiley?
No news.
No news. Mr. Ames?
No report.
All right. Mr. Whiteside?
Nothing to report.
Ms. Roberts?
Nothing to report.
Okay, all right. Mr. Woods?
To continue with the theme, nothing to report. I had a work obligation that required me missing the one that was this week.
Moving right along. Okay, moving into public hearing. We have 3 items on public hearings today. We'll begin with ordinance number FY 2026-15, amending various sections of Kodiak Island Borough Code Title 17 zoning related to short-term rental definition, zoning, and permitting requirements. Is there a motion? Mr. Whiteside?
Move to adopt ordinance number FY 2026-15.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. Staff report, Manager Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Kodiak Island Borough Planning and Zoning Commission held a public hearing on this code amendment on November 19th. The commission voted unanimously to recommend approval of the code amendment to the Assembly. The approved resolution from the commission is attached to the packet tonight. The proposed code amendment provides distinct short-term rental uses based on current code allowances while providing additional guidance to staff. It also ensures that zoning compliance permits require documentation that new short-term rental uses are registered for transient accommodation tax. The next section of amendments are revisions to definitions. There's also amendments for various districts, and finally, updates to parking regulations. Our Community Development Director is here tonight if you have any specific questions about the code change.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to open public hearing now. If anybody would like to call in, Ms. Schwantes, if you're listening, 907-486-3231 and 1-855-492-9202 for toll-free. And if there's anybody in the audience, same thing, coming up, sign your name, turn the microphone on, and address your comments to the Assembly. So we'll give a few seconds first for a call or two.
You are now answering a call from the queue.
Thank you for calling the Assembly. Please state your name for the record.
My name's Brenda Schwannis. Thank you, Mayor, for heading me up there. I thought it was another week, but anyway, so thank you. But so as I was saying, I don't have a short-term rental. I have no interest, nothing. This isn't about the code or what the code says or how it's framed. What I feel really strongly is the Assembly or staff need to do a projected revenue and a projected expense for any of these things that you're building, because what it could turn into is just another unenforceable nightmare. For example, you have to, you got to buy software, staff, licenses, time, benefits, legal suits. There will be lawsuits, attorney fees, collection fees. Now you're going to have to put liens on properties for ultimate collection. I think that's the collection method. So I'm just wondering if you've examined the costs versus the revenue. In general, I think there should be other avenues of producing revenue. But in general, the Assembly or staff, they just really need to look at what this program is going to cost. Is it going to benefit or just be another administrative burden? So that's it. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
And thank you again, Ms. Fuentes. Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else? All right, I'll close public hearing and open it up to Assembly discussion. Any discussion? Oh, Mr. Smiley.
I had a question about the motion. There's only one place in it that talks about ADUs. Why is that? I thought we allowed them with consideration in various zoning situations, not just, I think RR1 is the only one, or RR2, one of them.
Chris French, Community Development Director. So we're not really addressing anything with ADUs with this particular ordinance. So there's ADUs in there, but in terms of how we put the ordinance together, since we're not really addressing it, there are places, many places in the code that allow ADUs. They're not showing up in this amendment because we're not really changing any of that. So
Okay.
that's why it's not showing up in there.
Thank you for the explanation.
Mr. Gardner?
Not a question for you, Mr. French. Several people have spoken to me about this, and I think there's a little confusion out there that this is a new tax, and it's my understanding this is just rewording of something, and it's not a new tax. The transient accommodations tax has been around for a while. Is that correct?
That is correct. This is absolutely not a new tax. This is something that is already happening.
Just trying to make that statement clear to the public. Thanks.
Mr. Whiteside?
Thank you. Excuse me. Just wanted to thank Director French and the Planning and Zoning Commission for updating our definitions so they reflect current scenarios that reflect other municipalities. So appreciate you getting us up to date.
Okay, let's take a roll call vote on the motion.
Mr. Ames.
Yes.
Mr. Gardner.
Yes.
Mr. Johnson.
Yes.
Ms. Roberts.
Yes.
Mr. Smiley.
Yes.
Mr. Whiteside.
Yes.
Mr. Woods.
Yes.
Would anyone like to change their vote? Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, the next public hearing item we have is ordinance number FY 2026-17, amending various sections in Title II Administration and Personnel, Title IV Service Areas, and Title VII Elections to prohibit holding multiple elected offices. Is there a motion? Mr. Whiteside?
Move to adopt ordinance number FY 2026-17.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Since Mr. Johnson was the initiator of this, we'll let Mr. Johnson speak to the item before we open it up to public hearing.
Again, we've talked about this ad nauseum. I think the important thing is that this isn't about an individual situation or it's about good governance. You don't set your government up where somebody is both subordinate to and supervising your executive. It creates an untenable situation, and I saw that as an issue, and once it was no longer affecting anyone, I thought it was time to correct that issue. So I still feel it's good governance. I think clarifying a chain of command is always important, as we discussed at the work session. Asking the manager to enforce a contract and then have their evaluation and job security also subject to to somebody who might be on the other side of that disagreement. It's just not a situation the manager should be put in. We have plenty of examples where these recognizable and anticipated conflicts are preempted by code, such as not allowing somebody to serve on the school board and on the borough, or not allowing the city manager to be on the borough assembly or the borough manager to be on the city council. I think when you recognize and identify these conflicts, you fix them, and that's what this is an attempt to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Before I open it up, Nova, is there anything from the clerks on this one?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the Assembly. I just want to clarify that although it says that it prohibits holding multiple elected offices, it allows for a service area board member to serve as a school board member. So that's the give on this one. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I will open up the public hearing on this item. Again, the phone numbers, if you'd like to call in and speak, 907-486-3231, toll-free 1-855-492-9202. And if you're in the audience, same game, sign in, state your name, turn on the microphone, and make sure all remarks are addressed to the Assembly as a body.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and that includes the clerks and the manager. My name is Scott Arndt, and what I'm here to speak on is the Scott Arndt amendment to this. And it's very clear what it is, and I'll call it what it is. I'm here to tell you, please kill this in its entirety tonight, and what you need to do is have a discussion with myself and the Service District Board as to what happened. You got one impression from two assembly members about two different specific instances that are very distorted. You need to gather all the information, and you do not have it. We got a Service District Board meeting next Tuesday night, and I welcome any of you there that we can talk about some of this, or we can meet with you another time. But this is not the way to do things. And part of the reason I call it the Scott Arndt Amendment is because I'm the only one that's done this. And I've served on the Assembly and the Service District Board 3 different decades. This isn't a one-time deal. So anyone else should be allowed to do that too. Let the electorate decide who they want in the positions. It's hard enough to get people to run for both the Service District Boards and the Assembly. So please kill this, and let's talk and get all the information that you need. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Arndt. Are there any calls? Anyone else? Come on down.
Okay, thank you. I had to write this down, so bear with me. I'm not too smart. I can't remember what I'm supposed to, what I planned to say. So, good evening, Mayor and members of the Assembly. For the record, my name is Jason Bunch. I'm currently serving on the Service Area 1 Advisory Board. My testimony today is to offer a kind of a lateral perspective on dual service and a constructive recommendation. In a community like Kodiak, we have a limited pool of individuals who are both capable and willing to serve. Allowing dual service helps ensure positions are filled by experienced people and allows the borough to benefit from institutional knowledge and continuity across the boards. If we take a hardline approach to dual service today, we may unintentionally limit our options and hurt ourselves in the future. This perspective is particularly important. I'm sorry. Could you hear me, or should I start over? Okay. This perspective is particularly important when looking at actual responsibilities of a service area chair, a role that is difficult to fill, it's time intensive, and it's one that, if absorbed by the whole assembly or borough staff, it could detract from broader responsibilities and significantly increase borough operating costs. Under Borough Code, a service area board is only advisory in nature, and it's important to recognize. It does not manage borough operations. There's one exception to that, and that's through borough policy. The chair is responsible for providing contractor call-outs for snow removal and other routine maintenance as required. As a result, the chair carries a very limited but practical authority applicable only within their district that requires judgment, availability, and familiarity with borough processes. Allowing someone with this experience to serve on the assembly or as a mayor can improve coordination, provide historical knowledge, and can help fill gaps as personnel change. It does not expand authority or bypass the assembly or the borough manager. It aligns responsibility with experience. Broader operational authority remains with the borough manager, and policy and budget authority remain with the assembly. Dual service does not alter those rules. The real challenge here that I see is not dual service, but its ambiguity, particularly when it comes to clearly defined roles and especially when power is exercised without authority. These roles are clear. The mayor sets the legislative direction, the borough manager runs operations, and the service district chair is primarily an advisor. When authority is not clearly documented, understood, and upheld, expectations can differ between staff, boards, contractors, and the public, even when everyone is acting in good faith. I urge you to oppose Ordinance 2617 prohibiting dual service and instead tighten boundaries to further clarify those boundaries, specifically in situations involving dual service.
Go ahead.
If the Assembly would like to explore this recommendation further, I would be willing to volunteer for an approved working group to analyze the issue without bias, provide comprehensive recommendations to make that dual service provision clear, consistent, and enforceable for everyone. Thank you for your time and your service to the borough.
Thank you, Mr. Bunch. Anyone else? Okay, I will close public hearing and open it up to assembly discussion. Oh, Mr. Smiley.
I'm opposed to this ordinance. For the major reason is that it's really hard to get people to run for office, and both on the service district boards and the assembly, and also the mayor for that matter. And the more we have running for office, the better off we are, I think. I think the concerns about conflicts between assembly members and the service districts can be straightened out by just having it considered a conflict of interest. I think the mayor or the manager or the body of the assembly can point that out, say, look, we have a conflict of interest here. You have to stay out of this discussion regarding the service districts if that's a concern to people. I think by changing slightly the definition of conflict of interest that we have in the code, I think we could get away with that. And I think that wouldn't impinge on people and their ability to run for office. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ames.
I am going to oppose this. I did vote to move it to public hearing. There are a lot of times I may not be for something, but I will vote to move it to public hearing to see if the people have an opinion so I can take that into consideration. I think this is making more of an issue out of something than needs to be. I think this can be dealt with and has been in the past, and the more rules and regulations we have, the harder it is on everybody. And I also think it will make it, as everyone said, we have a limited number of people who are willing to run and do a job, and I'd like to keep that open. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Woods.
First, I'd like to thank Mr. Bunch. It's a different perspective I found extremely valuable. Like Mr. Ames, I initially voted to move this to a public hearing, not because I support it, which I have no intention of doing, but because I'd like to hear what the public had to say. When I first ran for office, I ran with the premise of giving people options. Right, wrong, or indifferent, I value that. As Mr. Bunch pointed out, it appears there are potentially other ways for removing the cause of concern without prohibiting people holding multiple elected offices, something I hadn't previously considered. I have an issue with this from an optics perspective. I believe the intentions are good, but the optics are not. We can do things, and I do things frequently with the absolute best intentions, but how it's perceived at the time does still matter. Accordingly, I'm going to be opposing this. I do think that I would, however, be amenable to postponing something like this to a later date to allow for some further evaluation on how we can potentially reduce this cause for concern.
Are you making a motion to that effect?
Not unless there's further interest from the rest of the body.
Okay. Mr. Gardner and then Mr. Whiteside.
Just to echo my colleagues, I see no point to handcuff ourselves to a smaller pool of candidates for elected positions. And I also think that having people from the service board on the assembly brings a lot of knowledge into the assembly chambers as well. And yeah, I also am going to oppose this.
Thank you, Mr. Gardner. Mr. Whiteside.
Thank you. So I've, excuse me, I'm still getting my voice back here. Still have a lot of thoughts on this one. So from my experience on the assembly, you know, I agree it's difficult to gain expertise in the service areas, and we're grateful for the services that you folks provide and those who may not be listening right now. However, my time on the assembly, I have noticed what this conflict results in, and my experience has been that when conflict arises, it does result in a delayed response or delayed in service for members of our community, sometimes for months on end, whether it was communication related or just unresolved complaint or item brought to the manager to help resolve. So this has clearly resulted in problems due to the conflict. That's why I decided to co-sponsor this ordinance. It's challenging to expect, as already stated, someone who by code is the authoritative figure when it comes to service areas, especially when a member of the community has a complaint or an issue they would like to have resolved within a service area. They pay a tax for that service. They deserve timely response and timely resolution, whether they should get that service rendered or not. So I understand that in some cases, they probably didn't qualify for that service under how service areas are arranged. But that said, we have seen real-world examples to where this did cause problems for members of the service area who are paying tax dollars for a service that they didn't receive. However, well, I guess one more thing I'll touch on. I agree. Previous years, I think it has been a limited pool of candidates for elected bodies, but I think in the recent 2 election cycles, we've noticed a drastic change for the better. I think we've had many people running for office, and I don't anticipate that declining. So I appreciate that sentiment, but I think we're out of the woods there as far as the lack of candidates. I think we have a lot more interest in our community for folks to run for office. But I think certain testimony that we heard tonight has me reconsidering. So when thinking about this issue, so we do not have, 2 comments were made. One was, let's figure out how we can better frame the relationship between the assembly, the service areas, and the manager to have more timely response to these issues. I'm open to that suggestion. I really appreciate that. But one item that does get in our way there, which we would have to address, and this is the only reason I'm reconsidering my vote on this, is we don't have anything in code to identify this conflict. We can voice it, but that has no teeth whatsoever because it's not in code. So if we were to pursue an code amendment that not only, it's already clearly defined that the manager has authority over service area operations and contracts. We need to take that a step further and highlight that if someone holds dual office, that there's an inherent conflict when it comes to managing service areas, and the default, there's no discussion, the default for decision-making goes to the manager. So if we are considering compromise, that's where I would want to land. We need to make it abundantly clear that the manager has ultimate authority over service area decisions, and there's a default conflict of interest without having to highlight certain scenarios. So a little long-winded there, but I was pretty firm in how I was viewing this, but one person in particular has me leaning towards the spirit of compromise here, and that there's room for improvement. I think we can achieve that through another code revision, so I will be switching my vote to a no.
Mr. Johnson.
Thank you for the comments, and I too like to see a outcome that makes the most people happy possible. If there's I'm very much an outcome-oriented person. If there's an outcome that gets to where I think we agree we should be, that does not require a prohibition, then I'm completely fine with that. But as Mr. Whiteside said, we have to empower the manager then to have that default authority in those situations. And if I'm seeing nods that that's something we could pursue, move to postpone indefinitely.
There is a motion to postpone indefinitely.
Second.
And it's been seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Mr. Woods, Mr. Ames, and then Mr. Smiley.
And just I guess this is maybe a point of order. Can the same person that made the initial motion then move to postpone without voting on the initial motion?
I believe they can.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ames.
I'm against postponing almost anything for further discussion and rewrite, because they seem to just get lost and lots of things happen. I think it would be cleaner and better to vote on this one, let it go down, and then resubmit a whole new and start over. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Smiley, and then Mr. Whiteside.
I'm opposed to postponing this because if you're going to change the code, it's not going to be the same thing anyway. So we're talking about apples and oranges here. Let's end this one and start the next one. Thank you.
Mr. Whiteside. And Mr.
Yeah.
Johnson.
I'll support postponing indefinitely, and because I view it as a backstop. So if we go to revise code to expand the language to solidify authority for the manager to oversee these service areas, and that fails, this can come back. Postponing indefinitely means we do not have to bring it up unless we want to. It doesn't mean it's going to keep arriving on agendas repeatedly. It will fall off into the ether unless we want to bring it back. So I view this as a backstop in the event that, in the spirit of compromise, any other code amendments fail, that I would like to bring this back up as a fail-safe. So I'll be supporting the postponing.
Mr. Johnson, and then Mr. Woods.
Thank you. I was just going to say the same thing. A motion to postpone indefinitely is essentially ends the motion and the discussion on the motion, which was what I was suggesting we do.
Mr. Woods.
I would be more supportive of postponing definitely, say, to the August 20th regular meeting. Just that way we have a definite date where we would like to revisit this. I don't love postponing things indefinitely, just because that tends to be where most work goes to die. In my experience, with different boards over my life. If that's the board's pleasure, I'm certainly not going to go against it, although I do think that having a definite time where we at least revisit this after the budget cycle is probably a good life choice.
So are you making a formal motion to amend?
Yes, I'll be moving to amend to postpone it to the August 20th regular meeting.
No.
Mr. Mayor, could we take a few minutes and I'll just check on the rules for postponing indefinitely? I think we're not getting there correctly.
Okay.
Just 1 second,
Yes.
please. Thank you.
Take a little pause. DJ, play some music.
That's correct. Postponing indefinitely is technically, you're not taking a position on the motion. Unless you decide later on that you want to pick it up or take it up again, it technically dies. So you don't need to amend the, I don't think it's proper to amend the motion and set a time to postpone it to then, because what you need to be doing is postponing it to a certain time. Postponing it indefinitely is killing it, technically killing it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So there is no motion to amend. So Mr. Woods, I'll let you continue, and then we'll take Mr. Gardner.
In that case, then I will be voting against the postponement indefinitely, and then when we come back to the main motion, I will be making an additional motion to set a definite time.
Okay, Mr. Gardner.
I am against postponing this at all. I'm with Dr. Smiley. Let's drop this, and if we're talking, I would be definitely amenable to kind of ironcladding the code to give the manager absolute power over the service area board, but that seems like a different process to me. So let's just get this one done, in my opinion.
Okay. Any other comments on the motion to postpone? Okay, roll call vote.
Okay, this is for the motion to postpone it indefinitely. Mr. Gardner.
Nope.
Mr. Johnson.
Yes.
Ms. Roberts.
No.
Mr. Smiley.
No.
Mr. Whiteside.
Yes.
Mr. Woods.
No.
Mr. Ames.
No.
Would anyone like to change their vote? Motion to postpone indefinitely failed. 5 yes, 5 no, 2 yes.
Okay, so we're back to the original motion. Any further discussion? Mr. Woods?
I would move to postpone until the August 20th regular meeting.
There's a motion to postpone. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Mr. Whiteside?
Same reasoning as postponing indefinitely, just kind of keeping this alive in the event that a code revision fails.
Any other discussion? Mr. Woods?
Yeah, I would like to see some heavy revision to this, frankly, to get my support. However, if we're going to do this, and I think there is some merit in clarifying the rules here, we shouldn't just let it fade into the ether. It's something that if we think it's significant enough to have a public discussion on it, we should continue to work on it. Again, that's just my position here. And if the body doesn't go with that and it's not their preference, that's totally okay with me. But it's, I just think it's a good step to keep working on things if we've identified a problem.
Any other discussion? Okay. Roll call vote on the motion.
Okay, and this is postponing it to August 20th, is that correct? Okay. Mr. Johnson.
Yes.
Ms. Roberts.
Yes.
Mr. Smiley.
No.
Mr. Whiteside.
Yes.
Mr. Woods.
Yes.
Mr. Ames.
No.
Mr. Gardner.
No.
Would anyone like to change their vote? Motion passes to postpone it to August 20th. Passes with 4 yes, 3 noes.
Okay. Moving on to the next item in public hearings is ordinance number FY 2026-18, amending Title 8 Health and Safety, Chapter 8.25, Solid Waste Collection and Disposal. Mr. Whiteside.
Move to adopt ordinance number FY 2026-18.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Staff report. Manager Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Staff, in collaboration with the Solid Waste Contract Committee and the Borough Attorney, have prepared a draft ordinance to update the Borough's Solid Waste Code. The intent is to revise the code first and then align the new solid waste contract with the updated version, not the existing code. Most contract-specific language has been removed from the proposed code, allowing the borough to focus on enforcement authority while the contract will address operational details. The existing code will sunset when the current solid waste contract expires on June 30th, 2027, creating a clean transition point for both the borough and the contractor. Starting fresh with an updated code section will allow us to clearly delineate responsibilities. The borough will retain regulatory authority, while the contractor will manage operational aspects in direct alignment with the revised code and the new contract terms. This approach should minimize confusion, improve accountability, and create a more streamlined partnership moving forward.
All right, thank you. With that, I will open public hearing. This is the last one for the day. You can call in 907-486-3231, toll-free 1-855-492-9202 to speak on this item. And if there's anybody in the chambers, come on up, sign your name, state your name, turn on the microphone, and go to town. All right, seeing no calls and no one in the chambers, I will close public hearing and we'll open it up to assembly discussion. Mr. Smiley, then Mr. Whiteside.
I was involved in the Solid Waste Contract Committee. This revision is for new code to start in July 1 of 2027. It's not to be considered now. It's to also the new contract with the waste company, whoever wins it, will follow this code here. I think that we owe a big debt of gratitude to Patricia Valerio for doing this work, which was painful. And her summary and changes is just really easy to read, straightforward as well. There are a number of other changes that are more or less hidden in the contract, one of which is the way we ask for bids from people to handle the solid waste in the community. We are an island, and everything we bring into this island we have to deal with. It doesn't matter whether it's, you know, food or cars or whatever. It's going to end up somewhere, and we're going to have to deal with it, and that's one of the powers that the borough has taken on. I think this is a terrific solution to problems we've had in the past about conflicts of interest on who pays and everything. The idea of using new ways to describe things, I think, is really good, and I'm in favor of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Whiteside.
Thank you. I'll echo Dr. Smiley's statements. Patricia's done a fantastic job here. So really the goal of this is to provide clarity for everyone involved. So we have, the contractor will have very clear language through the RFP on what their responsibilities and roles are and the scope of their contract. And then we also have very clear language in this draft revised code for staff to refer to. So I think Patricia just really knocked this one out of the park, and I will certainly be supporting it.
Thank you. Ms. Roberts.
I think this update is being proactive ahead of the new contract coming up, so kudos to Patricia on working on that, and I will be supporting it.
Mr. Woods.
Again, just to echo Carolyn's comments here, I think it's a rare example where we're actually ahead of a problem before it runs us over. I am absolutely tickled pink that we actually managed to do that this time before we're dealing with yet another issue after the fact. So I would very much like to thank staff greatly.
Anyone else? All right, roll call vote on the motion.
Ms. Roberts?
Yes.
Mr. Smiley?
Yes.
Mr. Whiteside?
Yes.
Mr. Woods?
Yes.
Mr. Ames?
Yes.
Mr. Gardner?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Would anyone like to change their vote? Motion passes unanimously.
All right, next up is the Borough Manager's Report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Made some great progress this week with finalizing a new pay structure for the Baylor supervisor and got that job advertised in-house yesterday. Meeting with the LTP lead tomorrow to work on finalizing the steps for promotions. We'll have a operator 1, operator 2, and then lead operator at the LTP, and those positions are all filled, which I haven't been able to say in a very long time, so yay. In your packet tonight, you'll see Captain Hall, who is the commanding officer of the Coast Guard base, and a letter today with more information about Peterson Elementary School as it applies to the Coast Guard and the KIB's relationship on who owns that building. We got a letter request from Prince William Sound Regional Citizens Advisory Council for support for their recertification with the Coast Guard. I sent that information today to Nova and Mayor Griffin. A copy of the 2023 letter is attached. We're going to attach that to the February 12th special meeting so the Assembly can officially approve it on the 12th. A proposed KIB bear management plan was turned into the Alaska Department of Environmental Conservation on January 29th, and we are anxiously waiting to hear what they think because no one has ever written such a plan, so excited to get that back. We'll be announcing our first annual Citizens Academy next week. That will begin on, the academy itself will begin on March 10th. I attended a meeting this week that was ran by Discover Kodiak. They got stakeholders together to show them some designs for a new wayfinding system that's going to be downtown. The modular system is something that could be used throughout the borough. ITN was there, the city was there, the borough was there, the museums were there. It's a modular system that we could put on all of the trails, parks, everything, and it would all be a unifying force. It was really great. I also got to see initial designs for what the city was looking at doing at Gibson Cove and the Pocket Park, and there are great things coming for our community, so that's very exciting. The KIB fiscal year 27 budget is underway. Department reviews have been completed for community development, assessing, and the clerks. Tomorrow, we're going to do finance and the manager's departments. And then on your work session on February 26th, there is an actual assembly agenda item, so we can discuss how you would like to review that budget, what review method, what your timeline looks like. Do you want service area chairs to come in, things like that, so we can get that all scheduled out so we know what the rest of the budget cycle looks like. Recruitments, I already bragged about LTP. The offer I had out for Director of Engineering and Facilities was declined, unfortunately. And then all the rest of those are open. In Finance Department, the foreclosure process started for delinquent 2025 taxes. That publication in the paper is set to begin on or around February 20th. You can call the Finance Department at 486-9324 for a payoff amount if you find yourself on that list. Our conversion project into Tyler software is still an issue. Staff is continuing to enter information into both the new and legacy tax collection systems. We were planning on just having to enter it through February, but we are looking at maybe possibly having to do that through June, as that system has not come up to speed yet. The time will ensure payment postings, penalty and interest calculations, and account balances are correct. We are very concerned about the levy process and tax statements that we might need to rely on Harris for those when we get that far. However, previewing, assessing, the stuff is working for our notice of values, so we'll be able to send out correct notice of values here soon. In community development, there's a work session on February 11th in which they'll be reviewing the regular meeting from the 18th and 3 rezone requests by the native village of Uzinki. For Plan 2045, the arts, cultural, and history surveys, as well as the environmental survey, closed today. Staff will compile those. There's only one final public engagement task left. That will be a survey related to intergovernmental cooperation and the capital improvement program. So it kind of echoes our joint work session that we just had. The survey is under development, should be ready before the end of February. Once that is complete, staff will begin drafting the plan document. So it's been a long process. In information technology, IT has deployed the final time clock at the KIB maintenance building. That's not true. There's one more that has to go out to the Baylor building. We are getting very close to be paperless. I think at the end of the next pay cycle, we will not have to turn in paper timesheets anymore. So our finance staff is excited about that. IT continues to fix vulnerabilities in our systems. They met with the Lutic Museum this week to discuss the possibility of working a map for archaeological data for the public, and they are also working with the City of Kodiak coordinator to discuss the capabilities that our software might have in regard to storing and providing emergency data for the entire borough. Numbers haven't changed from last week in assessing. There's still 64 senior citizens and 13 disabled veterans that have failed to timely file their exemptions. We have added the good cause exemption hearing to the regular meeting on May 21st, 2026. That's something that has to happen after the Board of Equalization at the beginning of May. Once again, very small, but that's the front and back of what the postcard will look like for the notice of values this year. It will not be a letter in an envelope, so keep a lookout for the postcard. There's 2 exemption appeals. They're both from the Lutic Heritage Foundation. One is from tax year 24, the other is from 25. The trial is scheduled for July 27th and through 29th of this year for the 2024 case. And for the 2025 case, staff negotiated to be a reconsideration, but it's going to be conducted after that July case so that we don't have 2 cases at the Superior Court with the same people for the same reason. Engineering and facilities, we're still waiting from our contract electrician to get the parts and address the electrical control issue with our lift station pumps. We are complete with the Women's Bay Fire Department doors and the landfill doors. And I've gotten very good feedback for the landfill doors, which is wonderful. We just talked about the solid waste contract. Staff has distributed draft of the request for proposals to the Solid Waste Contract Committee, and we are looking to have the final draft prepared for review at our next meeting on February 25th. At the landfill, you should have received a very long 600-plus page regional solid waste management plan update in your email for your bedtime reading. So it's very long, and we want to make sure that you had it in advance. We're going to have a presentation. The contractor and Patricia are putting together a presentation. It'll mostly be the contractor, but that's happening next week at the February 12th work session. They are not going to go through all 600 pages. We've asked them to hit the highlights, specifically the recommendations for that plan. So a lot of data is in there, but when it boils down, there's a couple of recommendations about different ways we could go with solid waste here in the borough. So that's where the focus will be. We are still waiting for our term architect for the cost estimate proposal for the destructive testing at the pool. No changes in our fuel spill issues. The seawater pump replacements at KFRC are underway. IPA got here on February 3rd and began the removal and replacement of pumps 3 and 4. Highmark Marine, working as an IPA subcontractor, got the old pumps out and installed the new units in the pump house. I'd just like you to reflect for a second on what the weather has been this week, and thank you to my staff for standing on the roofs of buildings next to the ocean while those pumps went in. It was nasty. And they have done a great job, and Patricia did some she was out there by herself with her pink hard hat project management, and things are going very well. So what we're going to do is once 3 and 4 up and running, we're going to let those run and make sure they work before we take down 1 and 2. So we ensure a parallel system for a couple of weeks. When we take 1 and 2 down, those will be taken out and replaced. And then we also have a 5th assembly for the future in case something happens. So happy to get that policy or that project wrapped up. The elevators, the Kodiak Middle School elevator is done, and the State of Alaska elevator inspector approved it, so that is over with. The hospital elevators are delayed because when the project office did the inventory, there were some parts missing. Those parts have been ordered, but they think it's going to take 2 months to get here. The parts that are here are being stored until we can start that project. There are a lot of small projects going. This is where we're going to try to be really transparent about prices. So I've been talking for a long time, but here we go. Portline School, you already know about that. The contractor is currently working on the design with the State of Alaska Fire Marshal. We are looking at Harlequin Court Park updates to get added to the CIP list. Parks and Rec is heading up that. That's wonderful. We have a lot of picnic tables in our possession that we're going to try to get installed this fiscal year. So we are getting ready for an RFQ for that. Here's where the prices are, and they're a little bit shocking. The Portline School painting project, architect's estimated cost for the work is $266,000. So there is a lot of siding that needs replaced. There is a 30% upcharge for being off the road system. Our project manager still has a lot of questions, and the ARB hasn't seen this yet, but we want to give you those price estimates as soon as we get them. That's certainly not final. The ARB hasn't even seen it, but for me, that number felt shocking. And so we want to start talking about that, and as the numbers change, we will absolutely keep you up to date. We are looking at removing an underground storage tank next to the annex building, which is where Red Cross used to be, right across the street out the back side of the chambers here. The architect's estimated cost is $25,000. Once we hit $25,000, that changes the way we have to do business with procurement. So instead of doing a request for quotes, we'll be issuing an invitation to bid for that. We have parts on order for the North Star boiler gun replacement, the used oil burner replacement out at the landfill Baylor building. You approved the Long Technology software update, and Long Technologies will be on site February 12th to begin updating the building controls for the Borough building and the KFRC, and the permits were paid for and approved by the Mill Bay Stairs, or for the Mill Bay Stairs. And then that's the end of my report, and attached you have a letter from the commanding officer from Base Kodiak and that Prince William Sound Regional Citizens Advisory Council letter from 2023. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
If you have any questions, please make sure that they are about items in the report and avoid substantive policy discussions. Any questions? All right, seeing none. Up next, messages from the Borough Mayor. Just a couple of things. Over the past couple of weeks, my schedule has been dominated by drama and debate and speech. And we traveled to a couple of tournaments, and the teams did very, very well, of course. And so a lot of positive momentum heading into spring. On Borough business, I'm scheduling follow-up meetings with some of last week's presenters, KEDC, Discover Kodiak, so we can move to some specific actions and any other kind of requests that they have for assembly support. I've drafted a resolution and might turn it into a letter also for the Aquaculture Association, since there was a positive feedback towards doing that from the assembly last week. So that you'll see that in the next cycle. And then, as Amy mentioned, yes, we'll be looking at a letter to support the recertification of the Prince William Sound Group. On lands, the city's appointments are imminent, and now that those are done, or will be done maybe any second now, we can schedule the first lands committee meeting of the year. I know there's a lot of people are understandably eager, and both for housing availability and for the idea that land sales could help strengthen our tax position. But we also need to be measured and predictable as much as we can in how we release land so that people can plan and so that infrastructure can keep up. So I'm excited about what we're going to do there. And we've discovered that there's still quite a bit of work to do on the parcels that we've already, that the Assembly approved last year. So that's going to be one of our first priorities. The name of the game, has been school funding. I've been listening to and or attending as many of those. I did miss the 6.5-hour budget retreat. And listen, but kind of listening to it here and there. It's good that work is underway, obviously. But we're going to have this. It's difficult, right? We're trying to move around multiple pressures all at once. The declining enrollment. I think the phase out of hold harmless is going to be super important over the next few years. And then, as they mentioned in one meeting, the growing needs in special education and intensive services, those have increased 21%, just over the past year. So, so we got a lot of work ahead to do for that. We got to be fair, to the taxpayers, but we have to be realistic about the borough capacity. But also equally serious about the long-term health of public education. So I think we can do that by being disciplined. Let's look at the data and also keep in mind the diverse needs of our community. That's it for me. We're moving on to resolutions. First up is resolution number FY 2023-03F, a resolution of the Assembly of the Kodiak Island Borough amending various sections of the Kodiak Island Borough Records Retention Schedule and Central Filing System to reflect amendments to the Assessing, Borough Fire Departments, Community Development, Engineering and Facilities, Finance, Information Technology, and Resource Management Series. Is there a motion? Mr. Whiteside.
Move to adopt resolution number FY 2023-03F.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Staff report, Nova.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the Assembly. In 2025, the Assembly amended the records retention schedule for the manager, the clerk's office, and personnel management when it comes to retaining legal opinions and litigation case files. This resolution before you will bring in alignment all the other remaining departments. So I would ask for your support for this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Any discussion? Mr. Woods.
No, again, this is just looks like more good work from our clerk's office, getting everybody kind of in line to make life easier and more streamlined for them. If anything, it actually probably ends up saving us money because you're not having to do two different processes, which take different times to get familiar with. So I'll definitely be in support.
Anyone else? All right, roll call vote on the motion.
Mr. Smiley.
Yes.
Mr. Whiteside.
Yes.
Mr. Woods.
Yes.
Mr. Ames.
Yes.
Mr. Gardner.
Yes.
Mr. Johnson.
Yes.
Ms. Roberts.
Yes.
Would anyone like to change their vote? Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, we don't have any ordinances today, but we have several other items. Up first is authorization for the borough manager to reimburse Providence Kodiak Island Medical Center for the chiller 95% design in the amount of $67,120.12. Mr. Whiteside.
Move to authorize the borough manager to reimburse Providence Kodiak Island Medical Center for the chiller 95% design in the amount of $67,120.12.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. Staff report, Manager Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Originally, the Assembly approved $187,824 for the 65% design. The 65% design actually cost $63,977.12. This left $123,846.88 left for the 65% design that had not been used. Request for approval for $67,120.12 for the 65% to 95% design gate. And then the next agenda item is going to request $25,305 for the 95 to 100% gate. A or B has approved the 95% drawings and does not require the design to go back to them for approval for 95% to 100%. At the work session last week, the Assembly heard the options of just moving the remaining money to the 95 and 100% design that is covered, or approve new money for each item and then move money out of the 65% design approval back to the R&R fund for the hospital during a quarterly budget update. It was recommended that KIB take all the necessary steps to leave an appropriate trail to improve transparency in the way the R&R funds are used from the Hospital Enterprise Fund. Project staffs have worked with finance staff and Tyler Steele from Providence Kodiak Island Medical Center to align expectations and lay out what is needed to make this a transparent process. If you remember the first time this came to you, it included invoices from the contractor to Providence, but nothing from Providence to us. And so we had to go back and reinform and realign our expectations of what we needed to make sure that Providence was giving us invoices, and the invoices that they gave us, there was documentation attached to those that showed the actual amounts that were being asked for. That took a lot of time and effort, and I want to thank Cody and Tyler and Patricia for all working together to make that happen. It is a process, and so moving forward with Tyler now getting the job as Senior Facilities Manager at Providence, congratulations to him. We have someone in place that understands what needs to be done. We also have a new finance person over there, Ben, who's not always on the island, just visits every now and again, and I think that he's up to speed with what we need as well. So the folks on HFAB have worked with all of those folks to get our expectations all in line, and I think we're sitting in a good place when it comes to working with Providence now.
All right, thank you. Very thorough. Is there assembly discussion? Mr. Smiley.
How did we get a bill for $187,820 for something that only cost $65,000?
Such a great question, Mr. Smiley. I believe that they were doing design from 0 to 100% from the very beginning. And in Providence's world, when they do that and they have extra, they just move it along the line for design. But in our world, we do not do that. And so we're just updating the way that they do business with our procurement rules.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, roll call vote on the motion.
Mr. Whiteside.
Yes.
Mr. Woods.
Yes.
Mr. Ames.
Yes.
Mr. Gardner.
Yes.
Mr. Johnson.
Yes.
Ms. Roberts.
Yes.
Mr. Smiley.
Yes.
Would anyone like to change their vote? Motion passes unanimously.
All right, the next reimbursement is authorization for the borough manager to reimburse Providence Kodiak Island Medical Center for the chiller 100% design and construction documents in the amount of $25,305. Mr. Whiteside.
Move to authorize the borough manager to reimburse Providence Kodiak Island Medical Center for the chiller 100% design and construction documents in the amount of $25,305.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Anything to add, Manager Williams?
All of that still applies, and the discussion here is just showing that we have brought the designs to the respective stages to the Health Facility Advisory Board and the Architectural Review Board. Again, they've approved it to go all the way to 100% without having to return to the ARB for final approval, which is pretty common.
Yeah. Any discussion or questions? My question is, this is $25,000, well below the manager's spending authority.
Transparency, Mr. Griffin. So, yes, we're looking at these projects as overall projects in different phases, and I'm not just going to be like, ooh, that's under 50,000, I'll approve that, and that's under 50,000, I'll approve that. We're trying to show the assembly and the community the entire cost of all these projects, and so you will see some numbers in the different phases that are below my spending authority just for transparency reasons.
Yep, thank you. Okay, roll call vote on the motion.
Mr. Woods?
Yes.
Mr. Ames?
Yes.
Mr. Gardner?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. Roberts?
Yes.
Mr. Smiley?
Yes.
Mr. Whiteside?
Yes.
Would anyone like to change their vote? Motion passes unanimously.
All right, next up, Assembly Review of the State of Alaska Alcohol and Marijuana Control Office Beverage Dispensary License Renewal Application for Bernie's Bar LLC, doing business as Bernie's Bar, license number 4346. Mr. Whiteside.
Move to voice non-protest to the State of Alaska Alcohol and Marijuana Control Office, AMCO, beverage dispensary renewal application for Bernie's Bar LLC, DBA Bernie's Bar located at 320 Center Street, and direct the clerk to notify AMCO of this decision.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Nova.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the Assembly. We have done our investigation, and it came back with 12 trouble reports, and the code requires that you review it and take a position. So I'd be happy to answer any questions
Okay.
that you may have.
Any comments or questions? Mr. Woods.
I'm curious what qualifies as a trouble report here, having once upon a time gone to a great number of these issues at that location in a different capacity. That could be absolutely anything from somebody slipped and fell to something far more serious and indicative of a systemic issue. I think just being told trouble reports as a broad spectrum thing is really minimally beneficial.
Was that?
I guess if there's anything in particular that came to your attention that you thought was particularly serious or indicative of a systemic issue there?
No, not really. You know, we have revised the code, so you won't be seeing, I think it's going to be different the next time around. You just adopted the code revision, so it's going to be a little bit different in the future. But this one's, the code requires that whenever I get the list that I present it to you.
And then on, I believe it's page 3 of the this particular agenda item, you can see a list of the responses made. Yeah. Mr. Ames.
Maybe I hadn't seen page 3. Maybe I hadn't seen page 3, so never mind. Or I missed that part.
Anyone else? Okay, roll call vote on the motion.
Mr. Ames,
Yes.
just so everyone is on the same page, this is a non-protest. Okay. Mr. Gardner,
Yes.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
Ms. Roberts,
Yes.
Mr. Smiley,
Yes.
Mr. Whiteside.
Yes.
Mr. Woods.
Yes.
Would anyone like to change their vote? Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. All right, we have several mayoral appointments that I would appreciate your support of. The first was confirmation of mayoral appointment to the Planning and Zoning Commission, city seat of Mr. Joseph Delgado. Mr. Whiteside?
Move to confirm the mayoral appointment of Mr. Joseph Delgado to the Planning and Zoning Commission city seat for a term to expire December 31st, 2028.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Staff report, Nova.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the Assembly. Whenever we get an application for a Planning and Zoning Commission city seat, we forward the application to the City Council, and they have made a recommendation to appoint Mr. Joe Delgado. So it is your turn to confirm the mayoral appointment of Mr. Delgado. Thank you.
Thank you. Any discussion? All right, roll call vote on the motion.
Mr. Gardner,
Yes.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
Ms. Roberts,
Yes.
Mr. Smiley,
Yes.
Mr. Whiteside.
Yes.
Mr. Woods.
Yes.
Mr. Ames.
Yes.
Would anyone like to change their vote? Motion passes unanimously.
The next one's confirmation of mayoral appointments of city and borough representatives from the Planning and Zoning Commission to the Borough Lands Committee of Ms. Tracy Craig and Ms. Sarah Fraser. Mr. Whiteside.
Move to confirm the mayoral appointments of Commissioner Tracy Craig as the Planning and Zoning Commission City Representative and Commissioner Sarah Fraser as the Borough Representative to the Borough Lands Committee.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Staff report, Nova.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the Assembly. The code requires that the Planning and Zoning Commission recommends 2 names to the Borough Lands Committee. So they have done that, and they're now before you for confirmation. Thank you.
Thank you. Any discussion? All right, roll call vote on the motion.
Mr. Johnson.
Yes.
Ms. Roberts.
Yes.
Mr. Smiley.
Yes.
Mr. Whiteside.
Yes.
Mr. Woods.
Yes.
Mr. Ames.
Yes.
Mr. Gardner.
Yes.
Would anyone like to change their vote? Motion passes unanimously.
And finally, the confirmation of the mayoral appointment to the Solid Waste Advisory Board of Ms. Joy Erlenbach. Mr. Whiteside.
Move to confirm the mayoral appointment to the Solid Waste Advisory Board of Ms. Joy Erlenbach to an at-large seat for a term to expire on December 31st, 2026.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Staff report, Nova.
I don't have anything else
Okay.
to add. Thank you.
Any discussion? Roll call vote on the motion, please.
Ms. Roberts.
Yes.
Mr. Smiley.
Yes.
Mr. Whiteside.
Yes.
Mr. Woods.
Yes.
Mr. Ames.
Yes.
Mr. Gardner.
Yes.
Mr. Johnson.
Yes.
Would anyone else, or would anyone like to change their vote? Motion carries 7-0.
All right, and that brings us to the last opportunity for citizens' comments. For those who wish to call in, the local number is 907-486-3231. Toll-free number is 1-855-492-9202. Mr. Himmelblum, please turn off your radio or any listening device to prevent feedback. For those in the room who wish to speak under citizen comments, come up to the podium. Just help yourself there. Sign in, turn on the microphone, make sure the green light is on, and state your name for the record.
Thank you, Mayor, and remaining members of the audience here and on the radio. I'd like to continue my soliloquy on the school board situation. I mentioned that the non-personnel line item is currently $10 million a year annually. And would you believe $5 million a year is specifically for utilities and energy costs? I'm just shocked. You know, we have a world-class reputation of being 100% renewable energy. However, there was no effort by the school district to go energy efficient or even acknowledge that that's the situation. For example, the fully lit 125 overhead fluorescent bulbs in the Board of Education conference room were all on. It's excessive, it's wasteful, and it could be corrected today. Incidentally, at the meeting that I was in, the room was too warm, so windows were opened adjacent to baseboard heater vents. Thus, our precious tax dollars to support the KIBSD are exiting the window by the bushel on an hourly basis instead of providing necessary and primary support to students, staff, and teachers. I'm requesting that maybe the borough help the school district in terms of energy efficiency, if there's somebody who knows how to help them. In fact, if you look at the cafeteria, which they had the town hall meeting, 100 bulbs were full on. And this was last night. Nobody was in the room. They're just burning, burning, burning. It's a tragedy. That money could be used to save Maine Elementary, because we don't want to shut down Maine. We don't want to make it a Hunger Games fight. Oh, shut down Maine. No, shut down Peterson. No, don't shut down either one of them. Thank you. More revealing, thank you for the letter from Captain Hall. This is very revealing. This is dated today. Now, Commanding Officer Hall says there are 227 students. The Kodiak Island Borough School District Board of Education says there's 195. You know? I think there's some misleading information that people are being led to thinking that there's waste. I just don't understand. I hope that you're paying a lot of detail on when they produce their first draft budget, and scrutinize this stuff, because a $53 million budget, take a look at it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Himmelblum. All right, Assembly member comments. We'll start here to my left with Mr. Gardner.
Thanks for all the hard work, Nova, Amy, and Irene. That's it.
Mr. Johnson.
Monday at 6 o'clock.
I get to weigh in and give an opinion. A lot of the time, I would like to hear from the people who are actively reviewing the data on a day-to-day basis, and I greatly value your guys' feedback. Additionally, I'd like to thank members of the public for giving comment, especially as it was this evening. In a couple of cases, it was very well organized and cogent, and I wanted to thank you guys for that.
Okay, and the next assembly, 30 p.m. in the Borough Assembly Chambers. All Borough offices and facilities will be closed to the public. Let's take a 3-minute break.